With about 12% of inflation rate at present, it is only recommended to have not just a primary source of income but also a secondary source of income to be able to cope with our expenses. But can investment be a solution? Can it be a secondary source of income? As a youngster, what investment type would you prefer? This documentary may question you as a youngster if you have planned your finances efficiently. Presenting to you Financial Literacy for the Youth, brought to you by Assets Erudition. Everyone aspires to be in a financially independent position at some point in their life, and we need to plan our finances accordingly. Are we financially literate enough to be able to plan? So here's the question: what is financial literacy? It is a knowledge that allows an individual to make informed and effective decisions of all their financial resources. Is it important? Will it make a difference if we learn about finance at an early stage in life? There is a golden rule in investment, which is to start early. And why? It is because you will have enough compounding time in hand to lead a secure life. For example, if you are in your 20s, you will have 40 years of compounding time in hand. Imagine someone who is in their 40s who wants to invest. They will have only 20 years in hand to save for their retirement. No wonder they say time is money. Now, we have come across terms like inflation, compounding time, and investment. But is there a detailed knowledge about finance? Is there anything stopping us from investing? Is it too risky?
Well, according to a survey conducted by our team, the mental blocks are quite clear. One of the most common reasons as to why people are so much reluctant to invest is having no prior knowledge about finance. About 75% of the professionals have marked themselves 3 out of 5. That is somewhat satisfactory, and the rest have marked themselves as 1 out of 5, being the least. Coming to the second category, that is middle-aged people, have marked themselves 3, being 57.1%, and 14.3% have marked themselves as 2 out of 5, and 40.6% of the Gen Z have marked themselves 3 out of 5, 33.3% have marked themselves 4 out of 5. The lack of financial literacy can lead to a number of pitfalls, such as accumulating unsustainable debt burdens, either through poor spending decisions or a lack of long-term preparation. This, in turn, can lead to poor credit, bankruptcy, housing foreclosure, or other negative consequences. So, the lack of knowledge in investment may lead to risk of losing money. Yes, investment is risky. Stocks, bonds, and mutual funds are the most common investment products, but there are no guarantees of profits when you buy stocks, which makes stocks one of the most risky investments. If a company doesn't do well or falls out of favor with investors, its stock can fall in price and investors could lose money. About 62.5% of professionals, 28.6% of the middle-aged people, and 33% of the Gen Z crowd, that is below 25 years of age, feels that the market is risky. Both lack of knowledge as well as the fear of losing money can give us the main reason for creating these mental blocks. That is, having no research mindset causes a huge gap between the fast-changing reality and our assumptions based on media hype or potential frauds. Shouldn't people consider all their financial resource planning options and then decide? People are repelled by heavy information and choose not to read before shelling out money. A lot of authentic study materials YouTube tutorials and learning platforms are there in which information is abundant, but most of the people are unable to decide as to what to read and what not to read. Moreover, nowadays, people have a niche for instant gratification. Where is it leading us? Is it justified in a long run?
With age comes experience, and the sooner, the better. With time, our knowledge quotient increases, and it's easier to mold kids into inculcating wise decision-making skills. At a young age, a whole generation would be ready for investment in their career's peak stages. According to the survey we conducted, about 75% of them have experience below 5 years. 12.5% have experience of about 10 to 15 years. 57.1% of parents have experience below 5 years. 14.3% have experience above 10 to 15 years. 91.3% of the Gen Z crowd have experience below 5 years. With these details, we have got an idea of how experience plays an important role, but one must be prepared to take calculated risks, as this might help them in a longer run to make a smart investment plan and even earn more to meet his or her demands. When we asked about what kind of investment category would you prefer, 50% of professionals felt that PPF is safe, 25% felt mutual funds are safe, and only 12% feel crypto is safe. 57.1% of parents feel that PPF is safe, and rest of them feel mutual funds is safe. 51.5% of Gen Z feel mutual funds are safe. 19.7% feel stocks are safe, and 18.2% feel PPF is safe. So with the help of these figures, we can predict on how all the generations think out loud about their preferences. That which type of investment would be safe and would also help them in longer run. Another question to ask yourself is, are we dependent on our parents in regards to financial matters? 87.5% professionals think youths are more dependent on their parents, while 12.5% think that they are not. 85.7% of parents think yes, youths are more dependent on their parents, and 14.3% think that they are not. 83.8% of the Gen Z crowd think that they are financially dependent on parents, while 16.2% feel that they are not. This number tells us that the younger generation has no to minimum idea of investments and earnings, due to which they are still dependent upon their parents. Is there a way out? Should we make finance as a part of our curriculum?
Based on the responses from the different surveys we conducted, it is evident that the majority of the people find the need for financial education to increase the financial literacy in India. When we asked them to rate their knowledge on financial literacy, most of the people rated themselves as 3 in a scale from 1 to 5. From this, it is evident that there is a huge necessity to have good knowledge in financial literacy to improve one's financial status. Nowadays, we see a rapid increase in the growth of the investment market, as many people are coming to know the importance of investment and they are starting to invest their money. So, a majority of the people have only an experience of 0 to 5 years, and we can expect that this percentage can be gradually increased. Depending on how volatile the investment type is, many parents feel that crypto is not safe, while some experts and professionals felt that crypto is a futuristic way of investment. Only with enough knowledge, proper calculations and estimations, we can decide which investment type is best suited for an individual for their financial commitments. When we asked people whether they find investment safe or not, most of them agreed that investment is safe. So it's nice to see a positive attitude. From the graph, we can see that 80% people want finance as a part of education curriculum so that the students can learn from a very young age. It is an important life skill that will help in their future to plan their expenses and cope with dry days. Let's hope that in the near future we get to see students learning finance on a day-to-day basis and apply it in their lives. More than 85% felt that youth are dependent on their parents for financial planning. It is always best to have knowledge on financial planning and self-sufficient to take independent decisions because one cannot always depend on others during tough times. So, we as youth have to ensure that we are financially independent and capable of taking wise decisions.
Ma'am, the first question to you will be, ma'am, do you believe in investment or do you feel that it is not for everyone?
No. I certainly believe in investment because I think of late, probably once I started seeing this, the pandemic and the dynamic situation and a very uncertain world that we are all living in, the financial aspect of anybody is very important. So this is more got into my mind, since I think I can say comfortably for the past 10 years that financial literacy is very important for anyone. So that's my take.
Ma'am, it's nice to hear. Would you encourage your kids to invest?
Yes, obviously, because I feel that if you look at any great financial analyst or a financial guru you call, so you will see that they've all started investing at a young age. See, if your career graph as I'm sorry if I'm getting into this, but I just wanted to add in here. When you start a career graph, it is during that time a student who gets into the world of working is only doing the mundane things and not getting to know about the reality. The reality of the situation is that once he starts establishing himself into the world where he is getting settled, maybe later married, and then starting his own life and adding new members to the family. So when all that happens, the financial burden is more. So if you plan your finances properly, then you have a comfortable life. So I think yes, my kids, I will want them also to have the same mindset where they should invest since beginning.
So my first question would be that what sources do you refer to online while reading about finance, and how frequently do you read about finance?
Well, speaking of the sources, the primary source I would actually see is the newspapers, financial newspapers exclusively, like Business Standard, Alignment. And speaking of an absolute beginners, I would actually suggest Zero the Veracity. And I actually when it comes to Zero the Veracity, it's more like a one-time read. Reading material. Whereas when it comes to newspapers, it's just the everyday work.
I think most of us have heard of these names, and I'm sure that our peers would follow this. So, taking you to the next question, do you feel that your peers or your friends group, are they ignorant about financial planning, or what is your take on that?
Well, yeah, unless they're earning, they are quite financially ignorant because there is no such awareness which is being spread about financial management or anything, even during our schooling or during the graduation. So that's why I feel so.
Yes, definitely. So my next question would be, what according to you would make you financially independent? Like, would it take some time, or is there any shortcut to it?
Well, if you ask me, so there's no shortcut. Yeah, but being a financially independent person is, you can be. But the point is, it's just all about accumulation of small steps. It's not about it's more like being financially wealthy. Then only you can be a financially independent person. So that's how I
Def-
feel like basic examples like, accumulating your assets and investments.
My first question will be like, when did you start investing?
Okay, so thank you, Sahil. And I started out my investing career way back in 2001. 2001 was the first time I was in college at the time, and I had some part-time job where I used to do and got some money. So with my pocket money and some part-time job savings, I started out my investing. My first investment was around 4,000 rupees in 2001.
Okay. So, how to become financially independent in 20s or 30s? So, any specific suggestions for the Gen Z crowd you would like to give?
Okay, the first thing I would suggest, like a lot of times when people who are young, is that a lot of times they look at, okay, savings, maybe I can do it later, because the attitude for most people is like, I live life only once. So let me enjoy maximum. But I would say, like, the first I would important rule is that whatever you're earning, let us take you're earning some 40,000 rupees as that's your income coming in. I would say the first rule you should keep it in mind is that whatever you earn, maybe take some 10% and set it aside. Whatever is your earnings, 100% of that should not be used in terms of your spending. The first rule is like paying yourself first. So minimum 10% I would suggest. If you can do 20, that is fine. But the first thing is like you need to take that savings and keep it aside. That should be an amount which you should look at growing. The second thing I would always say is that most of the time people, they complete their education, they get into a job. And what happens is that the learning stops over there. They think that, okay, they've done their bit in terms of education and now it's time to earn money. But remember, the real learning starts when you are in a job. So you should look at constantly upgrading your skills so that you can grow up in terms of your earnings. So remember that your learning should be a continuous thing in your lifetime. Keep learning in skills which can help you to grow in your career or whatever is the line of profession which you have chosen.
That's a great insight. Thank you. So, I would like to ask, like, any regrets about any investment that you have done in the past?
Okay, so if you ask me, I started out in 2001. One big regret was like 2001 to 2008. I did not have mentors in my life. So that was one big regret. So because of lack of mentors in my life, in the initial 7 years of my life, I did not have people who are guiding me. So what happened was like I did a lot of mistakes in my investing. So what happened was like I looked at borrowing money and investing. I took personal loan, invested that money. So my mistakes in early part of my life were all because of I did not have the right guidance or the right knowledge in terms of managing money. So I would say the first thing is like have a mentor. That's one of my biggest regrets so far. Apart from that, I would say like, see, when you are investing, you're losing money sometimes. So you will learn lessons. So I would always say like any money loss, if you can look back, if you can learn the right lessons, there shouldn't be any regrets which you will have.
I think that's how you learn after making mistakes only.
Financial literacy is very important and it is very much needed nowadays. If you have good knowledge on how to manage your earnings wisely, in the long run, it is definitely going to be very helpful. Most of the people are earning money, but they are neither investing it nor utilizing it in a proper manner. It may be due to lack of knowledge or lack of exposure to different methods of investing money available in the market. There are so many authentic sources available like Upstocks, Zerodhaversity, which provides the detailed and most accurate methods of investing money. Also, there are online platforms like Investopedia, which provides the authentic information with basic definitions and graphs required. One can improve their financial status by following 4 steps: create, start, make, and determine. And a research mindset is important to do all this. Financial problems are not fixed with money, but with financial education. take wise decisions and improve your financial status and help the people if they are in need. So finally, how much you earn is not important. What you do with that money is important.